Days with a passion, and I'm always so excited. Being alive is the best blessing ever.
True.
So here you are complaining about going to work, things are not okay, it's month end, you got bills to pay. Whereas somebody is just generally happy for being alive and being off oxygen and feeling a lot better. So I love being so optimistic, and I love, there's a time in my life where I fell sick many years ago, and I got to appreciate the freedom of just being healthy. There are so many problems in life, but there's so much to look forward to and to be happy about, and actually go about going around doing work, doing that thing you love to keep you going.
Yeah. So before we start, we're actually going to be talking about 7 things to do for a more progressive life. But I want us to send our questions from everything we've talked about. Hey, we're now in the 6th month of the year. Crazy. So from everything that we've talked about, I want us to get into a little Q&A session before we start the conversation. But I have my very personal question that I wanted to ask you. When you said you like Mondays, I was about to ask you, what drives your passion and motivation? Because do you ever say I don't like anything? Honestly,
There are a lot of things I don't like, but one thing that keeps me going, I think when you find the thing that you love to do and you are passionate about it, you will never ever have to work another day of your life. So imagine you came on radio today, others are dreading being at work, and here you are coming in with some amazing energy. So for me, I love what I do, which is a major contributing fact that has helped me to keep things going. And then, that's important for us to understand that we have to be passionate at all times in every single thing that we do, because once I'm passionate about what you do, it's going to be a long day. And that's one thing that drives me. Other than working for myself, I know I've got people I'm working to make sure that I take care of. The amazing G's family, the amazing Pro Air family, and so many other families that they take care of. So you know what? Sometimes don't do it for yourself. Do it because if you don't do it, there are people who are looking up to you, who cannot understand that we don't have fees, we don't have food, we don't have rentals and stuff to take care of ourselves. So have that inner self-drive. There's no better motivator in this life other than YOU. Yeah.
True. So there are questions that are coming through, and if you want to send a question maybe about anything that you need help with, you can do so on 0719 100 404. Tapio from Cheetown says, how do you overcome self-doubt and fear?
Wow, brilliant question. And self-doubt, the number one hindrance of people not ever making it in life is that it's self-doubt. That is self-inflicted doubt. Unotadza kuzvibhilivha wega. And it's somely, for me, totally related to maybe your upbringing, maybe the people you're hanging around with, which have become such a predominant voice in your life. So no matter what you tell yourself, your self-doubt will kill it. So you can't be creative, because internally, because of your affiliate and association of the people you hang around with, they have made this doubt become such a huge mountain that if you say, entrepreneurship, it won't work. Why don't you start this? It won't. Because other people have fed their fears in you. But how you have overcome that is simple. I love one of the biggest brands in the world. Their tagline is just do it. And my mother always used to tell me this, ndishikura kuti kusiri kufa ndekupi, just do it. Because in this life, if you want to calculate so much, you will miss the opportunity. I love the acronym POOR, passing of opportunity regularly. Those people who have self-doubt are always passing opportunities because they are not even attempting to do anything. So opportunity presents itself to you, but then guess what happens? Your self-doubt will hinder you from even going to try. Remember on the show we spoke last time, Tichiti, behind the doors of your greatest fears lie your greatest treasures. So when you get rid of fear, doubt also disappears. So get rid of that fear and begin to believe. So many people who made it today, all they did, they were fearless. They started even without the relevant experience All they did was submit. One of my mentors always told me that, listen, don't ever say you don't know how to do the job. Get the job and then find out how to do it. There's always somebody who can actually do it or help you along the journey. So that's one way you can definitely get rid of it. Just get rid of fear and doubt and just do it. You never know. The best thing you can learn from an experience is a very big and important lesson. And that's what differentiates you from people who never do anything.
All right, so GB, there's so many people that maybe are tuning in for the first time. I want you to share a personal story of overcoming adversity, your personal story.
Wow, adversity. So I remember 2005, 6, Muramba Trina time. I remember I'd hustled at the University of Zimexmo, where I graduated with my faculty of hustle. And I had managed to get some funds after selling some gadgets and phones. And I decided to start a phone shop. And unfortunately for me, and at that time I've told the story before, my dad worked at the city council. He had told me, George, don't do it, because that structure can be demolished because you don't have a plan for it. But I did it anyway because of my just do it attitude. And I put in a lot of money into that project. I wanted to provide, back then phone shops were a thing because people didn't have mobile devices. So I did that and I lost quite a bit of money. But how I overcame that, unfortunately, yes, money went down the drain. But the greatest lesson I learned from that adversity is that before you ever do anything big, do listen to the counsel and the advice around you. Because had I listened, I could have saved a couple of $1,000s. And how I overcame that, I went through a little bit of depression because that was all my savings. I liquidated all my phones. I started using a small Nokia black and white phone because I wanted to invest in the business. But I overcame it by somebody who came to me and said, listen, the greatest thing about you, look, at least you've tried. And this is why from a young age, I've always been very entrepreneurial. I always wanted to try, even though people said it wouldn't work. So you overcome adversity by going through it. And I tell people that all these great seasoned entrepreneurs who are in the country of Zimbabwe and wherever it is you're listening to us from have overcome adversity for them to be where they are today. So the number one ingredient for success is a bridge called failure and facing many adversities, not one, but many. You must go through those adversities because they are the best lessons. And I think now we see people's houses being demolished and stuff like that. So I learned a lesson there that, listen, before you build anything, thank God it was a couple of $1,000s. Can you imagine somebody who's listening to us now, who is planning on building something without the local council's approval? I can guarantee you, you may stay there 5-6 years, but without a plan and the proper authorization from the city council, wherever you are in the world, it will be demolished. When you are comfortable, you've done all the finishes, and then you hear, sorry, sir, we're actually about to put a road there, therefore we're going to demolish, and there's no reimbursement in that. So adversity are the greatest lessons that all of us need. All great people have gone through them. They've been in prison, they've faced hard times, they've gone through many failures, they've been laughed at, mocked, ridiculed, etc. But all those are important lessons that will help us on our journey as we go on.
All right, so there's a message on the WhatsApp platform. And hi, my name is Taku, and I just finished my A level, and I want to get into the habit of hustling before I start my university. What habits or practices should I do in order for me to stay motivated, and how do I prioritize goals and stay focused?
Wow. Okay, so I've said this before, and it's good. Ambition is priceless. There's a song that talks about that. And in order for you to be great, all you need is ambition. In the Word of God, it says faith is the substance of things hoped for. And that's ambition. So when you have an ambition, kuti ndoda kutombotanga something, ndochinhu chakakosha kuti uri kutomboshuwira kuda kuva munhu akasiyana nezvauri now. You want a better life. And that's the beginning. And once you start like that, the secret to getting ahead for me is to get started. When people say it won't work, be that individual who says, I will find out by myself. Unless it's somebody who's done it. There are many people, And get this correctly, my dad worked at the city council. He was never an entrepreneur. I love my father, Nicodemus Samunengwa. You know, he's an amazing dad. He believed in me. But remember, lives are different. What he thought in me starting Pro Air conditioning was going to fail was because of his view of entrepreneurship, because he had never been one. So he was comfortable in the working environment. So the most important thing, when you feel you want to start something, and there are many parents out there who want to live their lives through their children, which is one of the greatest challenges today, because your children never went through the hardships or the life you went through. And God created all of us uniquely different. In my family, Kwana Mnengwa, I am the most adventurous and crazy one in terms of doing things, where my other siblings are a bit more, they think about it, they calculate, whereas I'm that guy who says, hey, let's do it. And people and children are different. So when you want to do something, be very careful who you ask advice from, because their experience may not be your experience. So be somebody who, when you feel, yes, you studied law, but now you want to get into marketing, always follow your gut. And if you want, the thing is, there's so much knowledge out there today in the world where people can learn from various platforms. Pursue somebody who you say, I want to be like this person. I want to understand their biography and how they started. And you'll be amazed. All things, not some, but all things are possible to he who believes and he who actually pursues that he wants to achieve.
All right. So the last question for now, I guess, is, this person didn't say their name, 618, says, what advice would you give to someone struggling to find purpose?
Wow, that's an amazing question. And you know, purpose is something that you will know, you will get an aha moment, especially when you expose yourself to different things. And I go on my story about how before I started my journey in entrepreneurship, ndakambotingesa pens, ndakamboshanda kuBelgravia Service Center, ndakambohustla pa road pa Zimex Mall. I worked in an internet cafe. I worked at real estate. I did a lot of things, right? Until I then found it. So don't be an individual who closes your mind up to certain opportunities. You know, I remember I found my true purpose in speaking and actually inspiring people. When I was asked to MC at church, I never wanted to. But when I said, oh, okay, let me volunteer. And I remember the first time I ever held a mic, my legs were shivering. But after I did that presentation, people said, you're such a natural. You actually have a gift in speaking to people. So sometimes you'll find that you have a gift that you underlook or downplay. But then sometimes you find it when you serve, which is why we all go to all these various churches. You'll find you're a great, MC, you're good at selling because you're selling whatever wares it is, voluntarily. And you'll be amazed at, you're in media and you're taking great pictures. Your gift will usher you into the presence of kings, especially if you're just open to actually doing things outside yourself. So for me, I found my passion in me selling many wares until one day a woman said to me, George, I have never, with air conditioning, I used to work for a former air conditioning company before I started Pro Air, and I had never gotten such fulfillment from somebody when she said, you know what, I could not sleep in my bedroom upstairs, but now it is so cool. And at that time, because I'd sold phones, I'd sold so many things, that was an aha moment for me, which then said, out of everything I've ever done, my greatest satisfaction personally was making somebody else happy. And ever since that's how I found my purpose. And that's how, like now, Pro Air is doing air conditioning around the country, making sure that, like now it's winter, people stay warm. In summer, people keep cool. So I found my happiness and my purpose in making sure that people are cool and comfortable and can work in an environment which is conducive by the product and the services that we offer.
Right. So we're about to talk about 7 things to do for a more progressive life. But I think this is a bonus question. This is coming from the listener, Just Precious.
Yes.
How do you handle setbacks or failures?
Setbacks or failures, like I said, the greatest things that I have ever learned in life were deemed failures. Now I'll tell you, I failed my O levels in the year 2000, and I was at a school called St. George's College, right? And at that time, I lost my friends. Right now, I had to repeat. And because I loved soccer so much, I got out of my comfort zone. My dad told me, no, you have to go and repeat in town. And, as though it was God's plan. And, if I look back now, all of the things that happened to me all add up to the person that I am today. So at that time, it looked like failure. But little did I know God wanted me to be exposed to the Harare CBD, which none of my peers had been exposed to. So I would get school fees to pay for my college, but I would use that money as capital to do some deals, right?
Yeah.
And then before 2 weeks later, I would put it back. So it exposed me to a place where I got to know what hustling and town was like, which my other peers never knew. After that year, I then got a full scholarship at Prince Edward, and I finished my year there. So others deemed it as failure, but all it was God just redirecting me to go another route, which would only make sense years later. And now if you look at life, I know the St. George's community, I know the Prince Edward community, but at one point in time, there are people who said, that guy failed, but they don't know behind the scenes what God allowed and made me go through. So to others, it's adversity, but I always say that in every adversity, there are great lessons. There are great people you'll meet. And when we look at the Bible, Joseph met those guys who he had a dream about and interpreted, right? And only because he was there was he then able to get access to those people. And then those people would remember him at a later time. So in life, when you're going through hardships, you are meeting those people for a reason. You are meeting those cops. You are meeting those times, those lawyers at court of law when things are bad. But then only later will you realize that's why I met those people. So that when I was going through that hard time, I would learn about this and it will help me to become a better person. So for me, like it says in James, Anzi, count it all joy when you face trials, hardships, tribulations, tough times. Because what they do, they create a resistance. You become a better individual. Just like gold needs a lot of heat to be purified, even us as human beings, you'll only see your best self when you're going through the toughest times and the hardships. So adversity is good. If you're not going through adversity, it's not making you strong, and you will not persevere and make it in life without hardships or being spoken about or going through those very hard and difficult times.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that one. So now we get into the conversation that I was waiting for, honestly. 7 things to do for a more progressive life.
Right. So I'm actually coming from the GB mentorship program. It happens every single Monday between 9 and 10 a.m. And, whilst after I finished the mentorship today, I was like, you know what? I think this is important to actually download to the whole country, continent, and the world at large. So they know 7 things. And I know wherever you are, get a pen and paper if you're somewhere where you can sit, press record or something so that you can really sit down and do some personal self-retrospect to actually help you to go on this journey. Right. So number 1, 7 things to have a far better progressive life. Number 1, remember where you come from. Right. Now, if there's no greater motivation in my life to where I want to be, is where I came from. And where I came from is a high density suburb called Glenora, an amazing place that my father and mother managed to invest and, raise us as siblings. But I can tell you that was a starting point. And many of us did not come from the most amazing upbringings, but I can tell you I was always motivated going to see my friends' houses across the other side of town. And it provoked me to say, listen, if these people this other side of town can achieve, live this life, go on holiday, surely, I should be able to achieve this. So where you come from plays a pivotal role. We don't want you to grow old, still being the place that you were born into. Know where you're coming from. If there's something that's going to push you to become better, you cannot be the age you are now and your only place you've ever resided is the place you were born. Now, something at least should provoke you to get out of that place that you grew up and actually want to have a better life. So remember where you came from. Where you came from does not determine where you end up. You must be able to do something extra in order for you to become great. Number 2, be obsessed without working yourself. Now, if ever you're going to have a progressive life, you're gonna have to be obsessed. And I love the word obsession. Obsession is not ordinary, it's extraordinary. Passion, love, zeal for something. Now, when you are going to be somebody who outworks yourself, what you did yesterday, you should do better today. And if you're constantly on that path and you outwork yourself every day, I can tell you there's something about your life that's going to improve. Majority of people, again, are so comfortable with where they are because they are okay. They are mediocre, and they think this is life. But there's a better life if you're willing to say, you know what else can I do? And here on Hustle Hard, one of the things we love to provoke, inspire, and equip is that people should say, you know what, I know I have that job, but what else can I do to increase my income, my streams of income, so that I can be a better, more productive person? Where we say your job was to end today, you need to at least have something that keeps you going, right? Number 3, be action oriented, right? Be a doer, right? Do not be a CPA or a CEO. A CPA, just precious, is a chief procrastination officer. We do not want you to be somebody who is always procrastinating, who is saying, I cannot wait for the 2028 elections. And you are always procrastinating. Or you are a CEO, a chief excuses officer. We know those ones who suffer from excusetitis.
Yeah.
Don't be that person. Be a person who is action oriented. When you think of something, just do it. Do it quickly. Do it now. Don't be one who puts off things today and wants to do them tomorrow when you can actually become an executor. So one thing about the most successful people I know, some of my mentors and people I've studied, they are people who are willing to do extra than what everybody else is doing. There are people who, if they set a goal, they want to start now. They won't start later on. And that's what's going to differentiate people who make it and people who don't. So become an action-oriented person if you're going to become great in life. Number 4, get yourself a mentor. If you want a progressive life, do not think that you as an individual, no matter how great, successful you are, you can live this life and you think you know everything. I have people who mentor me. I have people who I mentor. There are things that I don't know that I can always sit and learn from somebody. Today we had a mentorship session. One of my mentors actually came to the mentorship session to actually learn from me. But when they have a mentorship session, I actually go and I learn from them. So this is the thing with wisdom and knowledge. And a mentor is somebody who has done, achieved something that you haven't yet achieved. And having a mentor is a very simple, quick way to make you reach a destination called success. Because if you don't have a mentor, you will need to climb over the mountain by yourself. But having a mentor who has already done what you want to do, they can actually show you a shorter way. Instead of going up and down the mountain, they can actually show you a tunnel and how to go about it so that you go to the other side in a shorter period of time than you were supposed to do it alone. So there are many types of mentors. I have a family mentor, business mentor. I have, a mentor in anything. I have a mentor in golf. So it's important in life, remember, we don't know everything and everything. We need to be able to become sponges. I love the acronym, the term, the sponge effect. What does a sponge do? It absorbs. If you put it in anything, it absorbs. Learn those key important things from those people who've achieved what you haven't achieved in order for you to become a great individual. Number 5, surround yourself. This is one thing I constantly keep emphasizing in regarding to people if you're ever going to become progressive. Surround yourself with people who are faster, smarter, more equipped, And this will lead you to a far better life. Your association determines your destination. Show me your 5 friends and I will show you where you will end up. We know all these quotes. But if you do a personal check right now of the people you're surrounding yourself, and I give this example most of the time. Just precious, let's say you're stuck right now at the studio. You've come with your car and you've run out of fuel. And you ask your friends for $100. How many of your friends will, without giving you a lecture of why didn't you plan, when will you give it back, or give you excuses? For me, it's important, if you want a far more progressive life, hang around with people of substance, people who you can rely on, people who you can really call friends. And I've said this so many times that if you want to see your true friend get into a crisis, get into a tough time, you only see your true friends in hardships. Some of your friends, just precious, are only wanting you on Fridays when you're going out. And then, yes, when the bill comes, that's when you see true friends. Others will stand up and start taking calls and not come back, and they'll leave it to you because guess what? We know she will pay the bill, she will settle. That is not friendship. So be around people who, whenever you're having conversations, they are progressive. They are conversations which are there to challenge you. Your friend is building, they are also challenging you to build. But if you are hanging around with the chicken friends, the Matemba, we all know Matemba, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, don't hang around with the Tembas, the Matemba friends. They don't grow anymore. You know, Matemba only grow to a certain level, and that's that. And if you keep hanging around with those type of people, you will not grow, you will not progress. Where you grow up is where you will be buried, and that's where you will live your life, because there's no friend who is there to provoke you, to challenge you. Say, listen, I did it, come, let's do it together. So you need to surround. I'm one person who always emphasizes on the strength, on the most important thing of association. Because wakatambani people who are not going forward, you're also going to see yourself stunting your growth, and you're not going to be, where you're supposed to be. So it's important. Let's surround ourselves with people who have a lot to do with our future, not people who have a lot to do with our past. Just because we grew up together, just precious, doesn't mean we need to be friends for life. I want friends who are progressive, growing, constantly. Every time we meet, I'm being challenged. Those are the type of people you need to hang around if you're going to have a progressive life. Number 6, second from last. Update your mental software. Update. As much as we see our mobile devices updating softwares, so we need to do the same. When was the last time as an individual you read a book, a self-help book? When was the last time you went to a business seminar? This coming week we're having, I'm on the board of Masaido, they're having Vusi Tembikwa and all these guys coming on the 6th, and that's amazing. That's somewhere where you need to be if you want to update your mental software. Be around people and things that change your thinking. But personally, in your own space, there are people listening to us today or watching us who know the latest series up to season 15. They can tell you that no, Jack and Jill did not go up the hill in season this, that, and this happened, and they'll tell you. But when it comes to something that edifies their personal goals, their goal-setting goals, their achievements, things that can change their lives, they can watch 12 hours in a week, non-stop. Munototadza kurara 4-5 a.m. watching something that is not, they are consumers, right? Of something that's not edifying their life, it's entertainment. But where they could actually be watching something that helps them, that is personal self-development. So it's important to make it deliberate, especially if you want to be a great individual.
I'm laughing at a message on the WhatsApp platform.
Already, and it's, I've got so many friends, just precious. Today I had a young man come to my office. He drew a portrait for me. And, he came and he presented, and he's like, sir, I only did this because I want to be in your circle. And I want to learn from you. And already, you've taught me many things. I watch you on radio. I watch all your YouTube videos. And because I've never met you, but I can tell you, I've started my business, and all the things you've told me, I've applied. So imagine, this is someone far away. They've never met me. But there are plenty of videos out there that I've spoken about, that have been shared. that only takes somebody to say, wait a minute, if George did it this way, I also need to do it this way and I'll succeed. So wherever you are, update your mental software, and I can guarantee you will become a better person. This one, the last but not least, and why I kept it the last and not least is because there are so many people listening who, after, if you don't get anything else out of these 7 and you think you're okay and all these are there, this one, number 7, things that will help you to have a far better progressive life. Learn to say no. Yeah. There are people out there who cannot say that 2-letter word called no.
True.
When somebody shares their problem with them, even though they did not have, they will now get outside their budget, outside their time, outside their personal resources to help somebody else when they themselves have not fully helped themselves. There are people who, when they are asked to go out, like I said earlier on, there are friends, just precious, that if they ask you to go out, if you have $200, after that outing, you're going to go back with 0. And sometimes all you have to say is, sorry, no, without explanation. There are many people listening and smiling right now that your no cannot just come as no without an explanation, because you feel you need to justify to people the reason why you cannot. Just precious, are you good to go today? No, I can't. Don't even explain. But what will hurt you more is after, when you come back, and for example, you went and you spent money you were not supposed to spend, or you went and did something that you were not supposed to do. After that, you're the one who's going to sit by yourself and do a self-retrospect, say, but I didn't really even need to. And now, look, because of my bad decision-making, because so many people live according to other people's opinions or views about them. They are so concerned with people's opinions about them that they will say yes, 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 even if they can't afford it. There are people now, because of social media influences, they feel I need to show up and do things extra. But then at the end, the person who will be suffering is you, your family, your business, and so many things around you because of your lack of the ability to say no. This 2-letter word is probably the number one reason that is causing your finances not to be able to balance, because you fail to say no. You're saying yes to a lot of things you shouldn't be saying. And that's spending a lot of your money. So if you want a progressive life, these 7 things are going to help you to have a progressive life. And if you apply these, if you learn to say no out of all things, do not be put under pressure to do things that are outside you, that are not you, just because you want to please people. The most important person on this planet and who is listening is not the person other than yourself. It's you. You have to be able to take sole responsibility of where your life ends by the decision making that you make. And no is a very good decision, because not being able to say that word is going to cost you a lot. There are people who want to take care of so many other people before they actually take care of themselves. I love it in the aeroplane, whenever they are doing a demonstration, they say, please, when we get to a high altitude like this and we put this light on, please, when you see the mask falling down, kindly put on the mask on yourself before you assist your neighbor, right? Sure. There are many people who want to assist their neighbor because they think they have enough oxygen. You will help them and they'll survive, and you will DIE because you are going to say but the most important thing, help yourself first. Take care of yourself, your family, your business, your immediate circle first before you become somebody who's going to help others. Start with you, and I can guarantee you, you will have a far better progressive life.
I was taking notes here.
I can see that.
Yes.
I can see your pen was moving faster than ever.
You see? All right, so we are 5 minutes away from the news, and what are your parting words?
Right, so it's great that people do this self-retrospect and actually become more obsessed. Remember where you came from. Take deliberate action steps to achieving what you want to do. We're halfway through the year, just precious, and there are many people who set out goals. Some have not even set out goals, but you don't want to be a person who just lives a life without goals, ambitions, or things you're chasing. You cannot live a life without a mentor. I don't know who I can tell. Every great sporting personality, no matter who they are, every great business person has somebody who has mentored them. If you actually want to become successful, get yourself a mentor. George Billionaire is a mentor. That's great. You can get him as a mentor. But I have plenty mentors. And my mentors are some of the most seasoned people. And I owe them a lot of my great success because they shared what they did wrong and told me not to do those same things that they did wrong if your business should last long. So get yourself a mentor. It's important to get a mentor. Surround yourself with egos. Please, people out there, look at your associates. Do not hang around with chicken matemba, anatemba. Don't hang around with people with no ambition, no zeal, no direction, no goal. Avana kana even just a big goal. It's always good to hang around with people who who are ambitious. Because if you hang around with them, it will rub off and your mindset will also begin to change. Update your mental software. That's important. Be a reader. You can't be a leader if you're not a reader. You can't be a history maker if you're not learned. But most importantly, self-educate yourself, especially with the things that you love to do. And last but not least, the one we just ended with. Dzidzira kuti ayewa kwete andidi no. Learn to use that word because of your wanting to please people, it will affect you. Learn to say no. It's okay. And don't explain. Do not even explain after your no. Why aren't you coming? I'm just not coming. Why aren't you? No, I'm not going to do that. Because you don't have to explain. It's a choice. In life, you can say yes or no. But most importantly, don't explain your no's. And you can live a far better, less stressful life because of some of the yeses we are saying just because we want to please people and we want to act like we have arrived, yet we actually have not arrived.
Mama Medicine Junior says, thank you, George Tiribudzizawena. And thank you so much. So to those that want to get in touch with you, I know I always see videos on TikTok and everywhere. How do we get in touch with you?
Right, so you can get in touch with me, especially for those who are asking about the GB mentorship. It is there on Instagram. Search GB mentorship, it's there. And follow me on all handles, George Billionaire Munengwa, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. And there's a lot of videos available on YouTube. Some even the ones we do here, some I do with the amazing G's, the School Run Diaries. Just search that on any platform and you'll be able to see, learn, and be PIE, provoked, inspired, and equipped.
All right. You said those who want to see the mentorship class, right? What if they want to join? How do they do that?
Okay, so you can take this number down. Simple number, 0712 840 840. Just send a message and say want to join mentorship and you'll be channeled through to the respective area and then you can register and become a part of that.
All right, 0712-840-840. It is Capital 100.4 FM. It is hard. It is a minute away from the news time. Thank you so much. This was Hustle Hard.